Hi, Roshan. Let's start. It's been a while since we had such meetings. I
Hi,
consider
Vijay.
AnaVJ as our family, and we behave in such a manner. It's not an employer-employee relationship. In fact, there is no hierarchy structure. We have a flat hierarchy structure. That's part of a mission statement. Anna had devised it. Everyone has a say in the decision making process, and we go by a consensus based approach. Sorry for being a bit dormant for some time. I was held up with a few activities in terms of registering our organization with the labor Department of Labor and getting the certification, right certification, and now I'm entitled to work for AnaVJ under the charismatic leadership of Anna, and let's go, reach great heights under the leadership of Anna. And let's start ideating. I did ideate a few concepts which could be brought into fruition, because it's not new, it's not entirely new. It's been there in the rounds for a long time in terms of papers and hypothesis, and now we are going to bring it to the industry scale. And before we
Okay.
go on to the move on to the ideas and talk about the ideation process, let's discuss about a new what do you call progress in our organization in terms of evolution in our organization in terms of creation of a living trust. So we wanted to
Okay.
devote 90 percentage of our revenue towards charity. And that was a mission statement in terms of
Yes,
child poverty alleviation and women
that's
empowerment
right.
all over the world. So we wanted to bring it in terms of a concrete written statement and agreement. So that could be done when we start a living trust. So you might have seen that I've shared the living trust documentation in LinkedIn and other
Yes,
places. Yeah, so
correct.
you might have seen the contents. So we are going to devote our revenue, which is generated from AnaVJ LLC and other subsidiaries all over the world, and direct its revenue towards AnaVJ Living Trust. The
Okay.
co-grantors of AnaVJ Living Trust are Anna and I. And we are going to devote, we have identified three organizations as of now. The organizations are UNHCR, that is the Refugees Welfare Organization, UN UNICEF, that is the Children Welfare Organization, and UN Women for women empowerment. So,
Okay.
women empowerment and child poverty alleviation has been our main theme for from the start, from our inception. But now we have added the UNHCR as well, because we find the refugee problem is huge all over the world due to the current conflicts all over the world, and even a kind of ethnocide, genocide going on all over the world.
Yes.
UNHCR is a significant organization we are going to support. We are going to support society, and currently we are just limited to three, so that we'll see how things are going about, and then we'll add more organizations. And I've also posted a job for the chairman of the trustee, the AnaVJ trustee. So the trustee is going to be funded by the rather the trustee is going to fund the trust, and the trustee
Okay.
comprises of AnaVJ LLC and all subsidiaries all over the world, and the co-grantors, which is Anna and I. And there should be a chairman
Got
for
it.
the trustee. This is a post apart from the board of directors. So the chairman of the trustee
Okay.
could act as a board of director, but this role is slightly a kind of an honorary role. We want an eminent philanthropist for this role, and there have been more than 12 applicants so far. We are just trying to shortlist, in the sense we are trying to find out which is the best way for remunerating the person. Some people might find it insulting if we try to remunerate, because I've just read online that this is a very respectable honorary position, and people don't expect remuneration. But if there is an industry norm and stuff like that, we could give the remuneration. So I was just researching this aspect along with Anna. So let's see what happens, and we'll try to shortlist pretty soon, and uh, we will assign that post of the chairman of trustee. It's a very a good one, and in the sense. the principles which are guiding for that post. You might have seen the 3 principles, like the
Yes.
Isaac Asimov principles for robotics. Okay, these 3
Correct.
principles are going to govern the role of the chairman of the trustee. It's like they do not worry about EBITDA and other cash flows and other stuff in our organization. They should ensure that we are doing it for the right reasons and with ethical principles, and we are devoting 90% of revenue towards charity, and we are not just doing it for the sake of it, and we are not just starting a trust for saving taxes or something. So all these things should be brought, should be very transparent. That's why I'm recruiting a person who may not be associated with their organization. So that is the right way to do it. So if
Yes.
he's associated with our organization, then he would not be a referee. So that
Yes.
is the first statement. So the chairman of the trustee should be a referee. He should not be part of AnaVJ. So he should be a
Correct.
referee who monitors whether proper ethical principles are followed in terms of devotion of 90% of our revenue towards charitable organizations of the world. And you might have also seen a post which I shared in LinkedIn regarding
LinkedIn.
the wealthy charitable organizations in the world.
Yes.
And,
Correct. Yeah.
yeah, and it's like the wealthiest charitable organization is just $93 billion worth. So I was surprised to look at that list. So if you add up all the charitable organizations across the world, we may not even cross $200 billion. So with $200 billion, how are we going to support 1.2 billion people below the poverty line? So it's more than that. It's not only 1.2 billion. We are 8 billion strong, and 1.2 billion is a conservative figure. So I guess it's 1.2 billion children below the poverty line.
Yes.
So it's a huge number. So even if we have to support a single person with let's say $1,000 per year, let's average out all the standards of living of all the countries in the world, and let's average out. So we are going to provide $1,000 per person for 8 billion people.
Yes.
Or rather 1.2 billion people. That's a conservative figure. 1.2 billion people. So what should the charitable organization be worth in terms of revenue if you have to give $1,000?
Yes.
We should be $1 trillion organization by revenue.
Correct. Yeah.
Only then we could provide, even if let's say we are providing 90% of our revenue, it will be less than that. But I'm giving some figures. So no government. Okay, governments have a budget of, let's say, the wealthiest government in the world has a budget of $7 trillion. Has the budget. So with that, they have their expenses. The countries don't run for charity, but we have the option to work towards philanthropy and charity through our core technologies. So that is the reason I started the Living Trust as soon as we got our AnaVJ LLC to some shape, to a concrete shape. So I started the Living Trust in parallel. So normally the norm of starting a living trust is after death, or it's a kind of a will, it's a kind of estate planning or things like that. So that is the way normally people do. Some people start foundations while they're alive. Like there are many foundations all over the world. That's good. But a trust is more secure than a foundation in terms of its goodwill towards serving the society. So the number of questions asked by the public or other stakeholders would be limited when we form a trust. So I did some research around it, and that's how I started this trust. And the cost of opening a trust in many countries where we are operating is minimal or nil. So it's good that the government has provided such an option because we are doing good to the society. So starting a trust is not very difficult.
Okay.
Starting a trust is not very difficult, but ethical principles has to be followed by a referee in every country which we are operating, or the same person who does the monitoring of a trust in US could monitor a trust all over the world. So that won't be difficult. So we could extend the role of the person whom we are recruiting for the chairman of the trustee. And yeah, this is what the latest advancements or happenings in AnaVJ after we met last time. Now let's go to our ideation part and the new concepts which we have developed after we met last time. So I give the dice to you. Let's begin with you, and because it should always be we. It should not be I, and I should gather along our colleagues. So I should not be the one speaking always. It should be a two-way communication or a multi-way communication. So let's start with you, and let's see what you have for us, and then I would continue with our concepts.
Yeah, Vijay. So regarding the trustee part, so I have tried to connect with some of the like organization who is like supporting the trustees, and which is who is regarded with the welfare of the communities. And so while going through I'm trying to draft a type of model which can help in providing the empowerment that model should especially it should target to the providing women empowerment.
So
And
is
so
it
in
pan
that
national?
scenario,
Sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
so
It's pan national, right? It's not going to be
yes, it's pan India, yeah,
region
pan
specific. I don't
level.
want it to be region specific. Make it nationwide. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like in that scenario, like we have to focus on providing the education first. So,
Okay.
let's say
So
example of
even our
there is
priorities
a
are healthcare, education, climate change, women empowerment.
yes,
So the
yes,
same priorities. Yeah,
correct.
you're good.
Yeah. So first, I was focusing on the priority based on the providing education. Then we can go for the climatic, whatever the climatic changes or anything. So as per the technology advancement, I am drafting a type of model which can help in providing education related to programming, Python, and that will be good. Like so, I have drafted a model and I will uh, once it's completed, then I will share with you. Then we can
So
review
what
it
is
together.
who is your target audience for education improvement? Are you going to concentrate on schools or higher education?
It's like starting from the school level.
Okay, so your enabling skills. So whom are you
Yes.
contacting? Whom are you contacting? Or whom are you collaborating for this endeavor?
So I have started doing survey from the government school basis, and there are certain foundations, companies, and charitable also I'm doing I will started the survey part. Like
Hmm.
there are certain foundations which helps in collaborating and supporting. So it's in progress. Like once it's done and the model plan, whatever it is completed, I will share with that, share all the information with
Yeah,
our
that's pretty
team.
good. Fine. So have you registered with our name somewhere? Is there a cost associated or?
Uh, I'm just trying to connect with the teams. Like sometimes they're not responding in a proper time, so there is a response delay from the concerned team. But I'm trying my level best. Like once I get any the positive information, so I will just pass over that information to you
Okay,
with
you
our
could
team.
contact in my list. Mentioned there the
Tata,
multi.
Tata, yeah,
Tata is there.
I was
Azim
connected.
Premji Foundation is
Yeah,
there. So yeah, so you could
correct.
contact them and even other green initiatives all over. That is for the climate change and of course UNICEF, UNHCR, and UN Women would be present in India as well. So you can contact them as
Yes,
well. Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So that's what once everything this model and information part is getting done, then we can initiate. And even with our not only all team effort is very important. Like if all team wise we will work like all Swarnians, we start working together, so that will be very good. And then that's the
Yeah,
way we
you
can grow.
start sharing information in the group. See now. you are giving information in a capsule format, you might have forgotten a lot of stuff which you have been working for so long, and to
Yes.
comprise it or make it in a concise form, it'll be difficult. So as and when you work on something, you just keep sharing in our group. So
Sure. I will
let's
do
say you're
that.
working
Yeah.
on
I will do
some
that.
aspect,
Correct.
just keep sharing so that we'll know what's happening around.
Yes.
And anyway, we could export that chat, and we that could be a record for us. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. Like post meeting also, like if I'm having some information, I will just keep on sharing and we can discuss it regarding.
correct. Yeah, so yeah, because then I'll do some groundwork based on the articles you might have shared, and during our next meeting we could discuss in detail. So that's how it's going to
Sure.
work. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
will do that.
yeah, and how about healthcare? You're associated with Siemens Healthcare, right?
Yeah, Siemens Healthcare also, like some of the projects. So basically, their projects are having some third-party vendors.
Or
So
rather,
they directly deals
Siemens
with,
Healthcare. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
Yeah. It will be
yeah.
good.
So that is the
Yeah.
like challenges which I'm facing, and like if I am trying to connect with them directly, I'm getting the little bit problems in that part.
No, no, no. See, what we have to understand is the problems faced by the healthcare industry. I got a good reference to all the problems faced from Pradyuman. He works for Philips Healthcare, and he
Okay,
gave some
okay,
of the problems. And my ideation was influenced by his problem statements. So that is the
okay,
reason during last year and the early part of this year, I was going around asking people, "What are your problems? What are your problems?" in various industries. So not only healthcare, I was asking our colleagues in Africa, let's say Basiru. I discussed with
okay.
him and a few others in Africa. I asked him what are the problems in the telecom industry of Africa, or what are the problems of in the DTH industry of Africa, the direct to home. And so I was asking a lot of such stuff, and even some of the colleagues in Sweden, and even Anna. Even for Anna, I asked what are the problems faced by the Smart Cities Council in Europe and the City Council development across Europe. So I got some good information, so that helped me to
Okay.
go ahead with my ideation process. So you cannot solve a problem, or you cannot ideate if you don't have the problem definition.
Yes, correct,
So
correct. I
unless you're
will
trying to
try to
unless
connect
you're
with Pradyuman. Yeah, I will
yeah,
connect with Pradyuman and try to get more information, and
more
then we
information
can
on the
work.
problem.
No.
See, this is one approach. See, having a problem, you have a problem definition and try to solve that problem. That is one way of ideation. Another way
Correct.
of ideation is you just think something which could be a paradigm shift from what is being done currently. So that is another way of ideation.
Okay. Got it.
Improve solving the problem can be good to the making. It can be good to the society in terms of making the lives of people comfortable from what is currently what the challenges they're facing currently. That's one way. A paradigm
Yes.
shift or a totally different approach for the current approaches would catapult our innovation and take us to a new take the level of advanced scientific advancements to a new level. So that is another way of ideation. So the problem definition and solving is like enhancement and stuff like that. That may not be real paradigm shift or out of the box kind of thinking. It's
Understood.
basically trying to solve a problem, but
Yes.
new concepts, novel ideas in terms of a new approach. Let's say avoiding rocket science and using quantum teleportation.
Okay.
So, okay, this is a case where we are trying to solve. We are also trying to solve the current problems and also trying to be very innovative. So this is a two-pronged approach. So
Yes.
the problems which we are facing with rocket science is that the cryogenics are very costly. The fuel is the fuel and other stuff. Okay, now they have good strategy in terms of using hydrogen, oxygen, and fine. But even then, the cryogenics is very costly, and the safety we have safety concerns. And stuff like that. Even for that, I had devised some things based on the device blanket rather the thermal blanket for re-entry. So I discussed about that in detail in a previous recording, so I need not repeat it. We need not go back to that aspect. Now what we'll discuss is about Swarm AI, Swarm Intelligence. So I guess
Okay.
nanorobotics I've already discussed in a previous recording. Nanorobotics is nothing new. It's there for more than 15 years. It's not been brought to fruition because at that scale, to achieve the degrees of freedom and the understanding the various what do you call the friction involved and all those aspects at the nano level, it's going to be very difficult. That is the reason it was not brought to industry scale so far. But now, with the advent of biological entities like organoids,
Yes.
that can be brought into scale. Organoids can be scaled at any scale, so it need not be at the micro scale level. It can be even nanoscale or even
Okay.
pico scale. So we need not go to pico scale because it will be very difficult to control. We can go to pico
Yes.
scale in terms of satellites. So we could devise pico satellites, and we could reduce the cost of satellite communication for power transmission. So this is something which we are trying to do. Powerless, like wireless power transmission. So that has been tried in a few places, but they use line of sight for wireless power transmission, which is not a good approach, because again you have to have repeaters and a lot of infrastructure involved. But once we bring it to the DTH format, direct to home via satellite, the satellite need not be in a geosynchronous orbit. It can be a low Earth orbit, and it need not be even a low Earth orbit. It can be even below the stratosphere, but we are avoiding it to be below the stratosphere to avoid any disturbances due to the climate, weather calamity. So that's the reason we are going above stratosphere. But low Earth orbits are quite cost effective, and with the pico satellites it's going to be even cost effective. And there are some protocols which could be used to combine 3 payloads. So the payloads which we are going to cover are power, that's electricity, video signals, and what else is provided in a DTH. We could add a few more payloads. There's one more thing which is that
Okay.
I just forgot. So for now, it's going to be video signals and power. We could add even your telephone signal, like yeah. You could we could avoid the subscriber identification memory module and the cell towers all over the world. So VoIP,
Yes.
correct? Okay, VoIP can operate not through data centers and cables placed across oceans and other stuff. So we could avoid that kind of investment in the infrastructure and transmit it through satellites.
Understood.
So pico satellites is going to be pretty easy because it won't cause much debris. Okay, people are worried about having space debris, so that's again a concern. We need not create so many space debris all over, and we're not going to create that. So pico satellites, it's not even visible. Okay, so they are not going to create space debris, and they're cost effective. And with that, we could for let's say for $10,000. We could have a coverage of a very good coverage for $10,000. And I'm just doing some research on the current capabilities of the DTH in countries where the prevalence of DTH is pronounced. Let's say for India, let's say India and Europe, 80% of signal coverage, like video signal coverage is through DTH.
Yes.
I guess I hope the figures are right for India, but for Europe it's 80%. But I'm not sure about India. It could be around 60, 70, 80%. Everyone has shifted to DTH, right? Or are they
Yeah, like
using cables still? Set
in
top
some
box and
areas, like they are using the cable, like signal for using like TV channels and all. But the mostly all covers have been like they are in DTH and
okay. Now we have to
they
reduce the
should.
cost of set top boxes and these DTH, because it's going to be we're going to transmit a lot of payloads, and if it has to reach every nook and corner of the country and as well as all other parts of the world, we will have to reduce the cost of set-top box, and I'm trying to understand the mechanism of it and trying to simplify it. So basically, Anna gave me a wonderful thought process. In fact, I had that thought process earlier. It's going to be packaging. So if you have a technology, let's say you have the jamming of guided missiles done through voltage standing wave ratios and providing attenuation. That's a simple principle. So to bring that principle into industry scale, or to bring it to a device or something, they do a lot of packaging stuff and additional stuff. So that increases the cost. So now the basic principle, implementation of the basic principle is not cost effective. So now if you want to have an anti-missile defense system, air defense system, we need $700 million for the simplest one. $700 million. So can poor countries afford, and countries facing insurgency and many other problems, can they afford? No, they cannot afford. We cannot have such air defense systems. $700 million for an air defense system. No. So we will have to work on the fundamental principles and try to simplify, not oversimplify. We should not oversimplify. That doesn't work. We'll have to simplify and make it cost effective. So the same principle we are going to apply for DTH, power transmission, for swarm artificial intelligence in terms of creating a mosaic image for the computer vision of the anatomy, which we are going to provide for better understanding of the anatomy, and surgery planning. Basically, it's going to be surgery planning, body dynamic analysis. That's what it's going to be useful for, and even diagnosis of illnesses. So, and it need not be a one-time activity. So if you place the device, a swarm device, in your body on a permanent basis, let's say it's a pico device or nano device. So if you place it permanently in the body, it will always scan information outside. You always have a transparent information to all your well-wishers and doctors, and for yourself, 24/7. And it's going to be very cost effective. It's not that every time you scan, it's going to cost you some money. It's going to be a one-time investment, and it's like as if you're swallowing a tablet and having your nano robots and pico robots in your body. It could be as simple as that. We didn't even have a mechanism where we'll have to do an insertion and stuff like that. So that's not required. So we could devise a mechanism where it could be oral, and that could be transported to locations where we want. And since it's going to be swarm AI, we need not worry about the actual location of it. So it's going to be all collective intelligence. You understood the concept of swarm AI and swarm intelligence, right?
Yes, correct.
It's a
So it's like it's very
intelligence.
advanced, like it's more advanced, like this AI based, like it's very more powerful, and it's very like advanced technology.
No, don't go away. Everything is simple. Everything in science, everything in math is simple. We unnecessarily complicate it. I'll tell you what is a swarm AI. Swarm AI is like coordinated intelligence, or collective intelligence. So it's not that you have intelligence in one robot. You have intelligence in multiple robots all over the body, or all in whichever industry you apply. You have collective intelligence, and everything act in a coordinated manner to achieve a common goal or individual goal. So that can be on a case-to-case basis. The individual goal can be a particular region in our body to do a surgery or something. That's the individual goal. A common goal would be to give you a scan, a mosaic image of the anatomy for a scan. So that's a common goal, a collective goal, and an individual goal. So that can alternate depending on scenario. For example, if the robot is traversing through the blood, in some parts it might have an individual goal, in some parts it might have a common goal. So that'll have to be done algorithmically, and that could be controlled from outside. The beauty of it is we need not have the entire intelligence as an indigenous intelligence, or the intelligence of the swarm device. We could have intelligence from outside as well, as as an autopilot, or even sometimes when we are doing some operations, it could be that depends on the consent of the patient, for example, or the owner of the body. Let's say I give the consent to have a 24/7 control from outside, or take control myself. So that's very scary, but it'll be in a way that it'll be handled in a way that some rules will be followed, and safety is always maintained. So that's not a problem. So we are thinking, so these three ideas, let's say these three ideas of common goal, individual goal was already there, but alternating between them and having the rules for them and a few other ideas around it, I just thought about it.
Okay.
So I just thought about it this moment. So what I'm trying to tell is, all these brainstorming sessions and all these things are very useful to get ideas. So it's pretty simple. So anyone can do ideation. It's just that we should have a goal of solving problems or going for a paradigm shift. So either of the two, and it should be like whatever we are suggesting should be plausible, in the sense it's not utopia. It's not utopia. 15 years ago, nanorobotics was utopia. Nanorobotics in the bloodstream was utopia, but now it's possible, and there are mechanisms to it. So now Swarm AI in the body is also possible. Now, once we achieve it in the body, which is going to be very life critical, we could apply Swarm intelligence anywhere and everywhere in any industry, even space research. We could understand the invisible part of our universe. So 96% of our universe is invisible. So only 4% is visible. So this is the reason we are not able to unify physics. We are not able to understand the 11 dimensions, because we are not able to understand the complete nature of the singularities present. So once we understand all those things, we could devise mechanisms to understand the 11 dimensions using not physics and a few other constructs, and try to unify and bring gravity into a common fold of the weak and strong forces. So now, discussing about that, even understanding black holes and other stuffs could be easier with the advent of Swarm AI. So I'm not overhyping it or something. It's basically the same thing. See, you have a common, let's say, a supreme soul or a Holy Spirit, and we are all individual souls and spirit. So now let's say we all work in tandem, common intelligence, collective intelligence. So then we are going to understand everything about our universe, and the physical nature of the universe, and the metaphysical nature of the universe. Everything is so this is going to be something similar. So it's not something very difficult to understand. It's a pretty simple concept, and we could use it anywhere and else, everywhere. And augmented reality is good. Augmented reality is a very good concept, but there are limitations with augmented reality, in the sense we cannot get a different perspective. When you go for engineering drawing, they call perspective. So we cannot get a different perspective for body anatomy of human bodies, or other creatures, or even objects, using augmented reality. So we should have an entity within the body or within the object to understand it better.
Yes.
Okay, we could combine mixed reality, extended reality along with Swarm AI, and we could have an alternating mechanism between these two, between these three technologies, and get better information. And the reason why we need better information is, we'll have to do information coding. Once we do information coding, let's say I have to code my whole body. I have to code my whole body into a surface area. You understand what I'm saying? We are projecting our information to a screen, the screen of the theater. So that's a surface area. So all the information which we have in our body is going to be projected to a surface area. So
Yes.
that is the information theory proposed by Leonard Susskind. So the whole world is in a hologram. So the whole world is a hologram, and the information of the entire universe is going to be like we can obtain the entire information of the universe through its surface area.
Yes.
I'm oversimplifying it. I don't want to go into the details of it because then you lose interest. So I'm kind of oversimplifying it, but it's kind of a projection. So
Okay.
we are projecting the
Understood.
information on the screen, and we get all the information. We could project it anywhere and everywhere. So there's no distance constraint. So that is the concept of quantum teleportation, quantum information science, and information is neither lost nor created. It's like just like energy. So we need not worry about loss of information or loss of VJ Anna when he reaches your place. So it's not that I'll come. Half of me will come there, half of me is lost. No, it's not the case. You're not going to release information unless there are some singularities and Stephen Hawking's information radiation concept comes into picture. That's a rare situation. So unless everything else is covered, so this is going to be used not only in transportation of people, vehicles, and other stuff all over the world, even space research, even reaching for intergalactic travel. So
Okay.
I had proposed a concept. Okay, this is from my previous recordings, neutron stars and warp drive and other stuff. So those are very difficult concepts in a sense, bending the space and shortening the time. It's easy to discuss, very difficult to implement, and having
Yeah.
a tremendous energy source like a neutron stars, it's going to be very, very difficult, very risky. So
Yes.
instead of that, we'll go to the simplified, elegant approach of quantum teleportation through quantum information science and information conservation theory. So this year's Nobel Prize was given for quantum information science. So
Yes.
that is
Yes.
the backbone for quantum teleportation. So people in the scientific community have understood the significance of quantum information science, and they have understood that quantum teleportation is going to be a reality pretty soon. It's not that I'm
Yes.
talking something like H.G. Wells, like the time machine and stuff like that. Kind of some fiction stuff, but it's going to be brought to reality pretty soon, and then we can do away with rocket science, ballistics, and all those things. We not have rocket science. So all the space objects. So I need not call them rockets. All space objects or specials, all space objects and other objects can be transported from one place to another through quantum teleportation. And this quantum teleportation works well for passing information about the thoughts as well. So thoughts travel faster than light, or in fact,
Okay.
thoughts travel faster than any other entity known to man in any medium. Thoughts can travel in any medium. It need not have ether. It need not have anything else. It travels in any medium. So I just think about you. I just think about something. You are able to understand it. That's very fast way of communication. That's going to be quantum telepathy.
Yes.
So that's another concept we're working on. And the reason why we are trying to develop quantum telepathy is we want to break all the differences which are there currently in the world due to language barriers.
That's right.
So there are a lot of language barriers. So if we communicate through quantum telepathy, if we communicate through thoughts, and if you communicate very fast across distances, we could avoid other forms of communication and mediums of communication that could save a lot of cost. And thoughts could be projected as a hologram. That's there for a long time. Thoughts could be projected as a hologram or other ways. Even quantum teleportation, along with quantum telepathy, could work in tandem. And you could have the person right in front of you when you think about it. It's kind of a request acceptance basis. It's not that I always call you and you have to come here. No, that's not the case. But that's up to you to accept the request. So we'll devise some ethics around it. So these things are not like something very difficult to achieve once we have the basics, because half a century ago, there was nothing called a communication protocol. There was nothing called transfer of information over large distances. So when did it all start? From after Shannon introduced information theory coding. Information theory and coding, rather. So once information theory and coding started, we had communication, whether it's going to be PCM telemetry or other forms of communication, any protocol. We had this information theory and coding. Before that, there was Morse code and telephone signals and other things, but they operated in a very different manner in terms of having a data plane and a control plane, and the control plane trying to control the transmission of information through a data plane. And we had to have a lot of repeaters, a lot of infrastructure, switches, a lot of stuff. Just like the clumsy cell tower architecture of the current day, that was those were the days of landline with its own clumsy architecture. And now we have a clumsy architecture with a wireless data plane. So previously it was wired data plane. Now it's wireless data plane, but the control plane remains the same. There's not much evolution in the control plane. But now we are going to bring in changes in terms of the control plane and the data plane. So the control plane would be the request acceptance and handshake mechanism. And the data plane is going to be quantum teleportation, quantum telepathy, and other things. So we are avoiding all media. Media. Media could be satellite, cell towers, cables, whatnot. We could avoid all media, and we could use that's a good question. So which is the medium for the thought? How does thoughts get transmitted? Whether it's going to use the electromagnetic spectrum, or it's going to have its own range of unknown spectrum. So that's a concept of that's going to be something we have to research on. In which medium thoughts are transmitted? The visible spectrum or invisible spectrum, or it's going to be a different spectrum. If we find that, we could start reading minds.
Yes, it's like
I could tap into your thought wavelength in some spectrum, and I could understand what you're thinking about.
Yes, correct.
So that has to be some medium. So we don't know about it. So we have the visible spectrum and invisible spectrum, which has the electromagnetic waves and passing information. So everything in the universe could be described in terms of the electromagnetic information. And quantum information. So everything is a quantum electric field, or rather not electric, quantum field. Everything is a quantum field in the world. So we could define everything in terms of a quantum field. So now that quantum field, does it have our thought as part of it? We will have to analyze that. So no one has understood what the so they talk about waves, alpha, beta, gamma waves coming out of the brain. So those are signals, those are impulses, those are brain electrical signals. We cannot consider them as thoughts. Yes. Right? Yeah. We cannot consider them as thoughts. Those are electrical signals. Those are like physical entities. Those are part of our anatomy. So we cannot consider them as thoughts. Thoughts is something partly external, partly internal. We have not understood it fully. So now we will have to do some research on thought spectrum. So that's how we are going to define that. So we'll do some research on thought spectrum. And if this thought spectrum is very fast, reliable, cost effective, we could transmit everything and anything and everything in the world using the thought spectrum. So now we are going to invent a thought spectrum, which is different from the electromagnetic spectrum. So this thought spectrum can hold any payload, anything with ease, and all the superposition principles, all the modulation principles, all the repeater principles. Those principles appear very simplistic and not required, in fact.
Yes.
Do we need any modulation? Do we need any repeaters? Do we need any other principle when your thought is so fast and you could transmit just about right about anywhere, everywhere, without a medium? So let's think about it. So you also think about it. So it's not that I'm thinking because I know a lot about these things and stuff. It's not the case. It's just our flow of thoughts in a direction where we are thinking in a non-predetermined, confined thought process. So what is education? Education is to train the mind to think. So we are just thinking. So anyone can do. For example, a person studying in the primary school or secondary school also can do the same thing. What I told just now, that we could use thought as a spectrum, could have been discussed by a school kid. So it's not that I have a lot of scientific background and that's why I'm discussing. It's just case. It's not the case. So it's just a different approach of understanding the concepts. So I appreciate such approaches. You just don't confine yourself don't confine your thought process, because it may not be brought to industry scale at this moment, but you will have it recorded and the future generations can do it. For example, Bernoulli's theorem, he just formulated something, pressure velocity pressure speed relationship. Or for example, the Navier-Stokes equation, which talks about viscosity and other stuff. They just did some formulation in some century and they never knew where it's going to be used. But look where we are using all those principles. They're using it everywhere. So don't confine yourself. And even the information theory and coding principle of Shannon, he just formulated something and now we are using it everywhere, anywhere and everywhere for a transmission of information. And now Leonard Susskind has given us a new dimension for quantum teleportation after confirming that information is not lost. Otherwise, it will be very risky. Who would take the risk of doing quantum teleportation if there's a possibility of information loss?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So so these are some of the topics we've been ideating and discussing around. I've shared a lot of articles, so go through them, and yeah. So this is what I wanted to discuss today. I don't want to extend our meeting, so it's already almost an hour. So we started at 12:16. It is 1:08. So I 1:08:58. So I leave it to you I give you the dice for asking me questions for the next 8 minutes or 10 minutes, so that we'll have our 1 hour of our session.
Yeah. So Vijay,
So
like
you can ask anything. You can ask
it was-
anything related. Even you can ask about remuneration as well. I don't mind. Okay.
it was a very good informative session. We have got more relevant information towards the new projects, and apart from that we have got some innovative ideas also on which we need to be focused, and we need to be very proactive while working. And so now I will do a deep dive on already I have noted down some of the points which
Okay. Okay.
it was very
See,
good.
I need some real help in thought spectrum. Think about thought
Okay,
spectrum. Yeah.
sure. Okay.
And think about
So
the
it was
components
very good.
which are going to be involved in a thought spectrum. So how you are
Thought
going to
spectrum.
arrive at it? You're going to think something
Okay.
and find out what and all is involved with a thought. You just think something and say
Sure.
and find out what is involved in a thought in terms of
Okay.
a physical or metaphysical or whatever entity. So we never know what is involved in a thought.
Yes, correct.
So those are going to be the components of a thought spectrum. So in an electromagnetic spectrum, we have the electric field and the magnetic field. And with the advent of quantum mechanics, we have the additional quantum field. So the quantum field is going to be the what do you call, the primary one, the superset of all these things. So the quantum, we define everything in terms of a quantum field. Now, in a thought field, okay, well, let's say define everything in the thought spectrum and thought field. So what are the contents of a thought field? Try to find out that. Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
Or you can make it simplify, or you can simplify it and say that a thought field is part of the quantum field.
Okay.
Okay, if you do that simplification, then I'll be very unhappy. So I'll be very unhappy in the sense that we have not found anything new. Okay,
Yeah.
but if you find something like a thought field and a quantum field are two different entities, then we have found something new. Otherwise, it is the same quantum field. We have not found something new.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you were discussing something. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
So like based on the like whatever the innovative ideas today we have gone, like we have understood, and also the information which you have shared. So these all are the relevant. We all as a team, like a Swan family, like we have to work on them, and like then we can get succeeded in that part. But overall,
So how's
it was
your
a very good informative session.
okay?
And
Let's discuss about something else. How's your running going on? Marathon running and long distance running, sprinting. How's it going?
yeah, we just so like 2-3 months back I was a little bit sick. Then again I have started training again for marathon because I need to have a good time. Like before I used to
What's the
run
current?
like around
What's the current timing?
under like 3 hours, around like 2 hour 45 minutes full marathon.
That's
So
good. That's good.
I need to focus more on the nutrition part, and then I need to improve on my timings also as well, like by
Fine.
focusing on the
Okay.
spirit level training.
Yeah, talking about nutrition, we have devised a new concept. In the sense, my body has become the Turing machine. It's pretty silly, but my body has become the Turing machine in the sense I'm able to train my body. Let's say if I burn 4,000 calories per day,
Okay.
I maintain my weight. If I burn something less, I gain weight. If I burn more, I lose weight. So that
Yeah.
4,000 calories threshold can be adjusted. Okay, now for the past 1 week or a few days and the past week, I've adjusted the threshold. Now it has come down, let's say, to 1,500 or 2,000. So it's not 4,000 still. So I'm not doing such a high endurance activities. So when it was 4,000 calories, if I burn more calories more than 4,000, I would lose weight. If I burn less than 4,000 calories, I would gain weight. So this is a very good approach for losing and gaining weight and maintaining a steady body mass index. So that I have been alternating between a low body mass index and a high body mass index to run all formats of the running. Let's say the Kenyan runner, the long distance runner, his weight is 52 or 52, 53 kgs. Okay, 52 kgs his weight. So I went as low as 53 kgs just to find out how good he is at running, and it helped me a lot. I was able to run almost at 2 hours. Almost 2. I have not broken the record yet, but almost 2 hours 10 minutes or something like that. So I was able to run because I reached his body mass index. Then I thought, okay, let's run something in a 200-meter format and something. So I increased my weight. Now, then I became 60 kgs, 59 point something, 59.8 and 60 kgs. Then I ran 200 meters. I was able to run 180 meters in 17.81 seconds.
Okay.
So the world record is 200 meters in 19.9 seconds.
Yes, correct.
So now 20 meters could be covered in less than 1 second. And the current record of 19.9 seconds could be broken. There was one witness, actually, I'm not just telling it out of thin air. There was one person who viewed me running. Like it was all dark, and it was after let's say 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. It was dark here, but one person was there in that football field. So I'll tell you why it is 180 meters and not 200 meters. It was like two football fields sandwiched like one after the other, and I just counted the number of 10 meter blocks in that field. I ran all the 10 meter blocks, and when I saw it was 180 meters. I thought it was 200 meters. I just ran, and then I saw it was 180 meters. So that's why 17.81 seconds and 180 meters. Otherwise, I would have run the complete 200 meters. So, and the reason why I ran a straight field was, okay, that's an advantage. I'll tell you that's an advantage. It's not an it's not exactly an advantage, but a slight advantage. When you run in a circle for 200 meters, you slightly turn your body. There's some shift in your aerodynamics, and you'll have to adjust. You'll have to adjust for the turn. Though everything like even if a circular turn, even a curvature is straight. When we take at the infinitesimal entity, it's still a straight line, but still it's a curve. So it's a curvature. So running a curvature is slightly more difficult than running a straight line. So I give credit to Usain Bolt. Because he has run 200 meters in 19.9 seconds with the curvature. So I have run 180 meters in a straight line. So my feet is not great. In fact, I might beat him with a margin such that in a curvature also I could beat him. So that's fine. But still his feet with a curvature is good. So that's the difference when you run in a curved space and in a straight line. Though there's not much difference, but still there is some difference.
Yes.
Because your aerodynamics change, the resistance, the wind resistance, all those things changes. Because here it's only unidirectional, straight, and you have only one either wind assistance or wind resistance.
Correct.
But if you're running a 200 meter, let's say you have a 400 meter circuit track, and you're running 200 meters, you're covering half the track, and you will have wind resistance and assistance twice.
Yes.
You'll have twice wind assistance and resistance. So that is slightly difficult because you're having wind resistance twice. So that is slightly difficult compared to a straight line run of 200 meters. And 100 meter dash, if you have a wind assistance, it's pretty good. Wind resistance is difficult, but so 100 meter dash is not. I'm not taking away any credit, but 100 meter dash is not as difficult as a 200 meter or 400 meter or 1500 meter run, because you have the resistance and assistance going in alternate fashion. And another factor is, even for your long distance run, is, we will have to decide on decide the factors based on the circuit on which they are running. So imagine you're running your marathon in a single field. In the 400 meter field, you're running the entire marathon. Your 42 kilometers or 26.2 miles in a 400 meter field. You're running in the 400 meter field. So that will test your endurance to a very great deal.
Correct.
Both psychologically and physically, it's going to test your endurance, because you're running the same circuit. Your mind gets used to it. You get a psychological hypnosis. That's a kind of psychological boredom, and you lose interest. And your interest, loss of interest psychologically will affect your physical strength as well. And physically, you will also have problems with your resistance and assistance alternating every single lap. So that is also a difference. So if you're running long distance, based on the parameters differ based on your circuit, and even whether it's going to be flat terrain or a mountainous terrain, that's different. I don't know where people normally run a marathon. It's going to be flat terrain or it's going to be varied terrain.
Yeah, so it's like a loop of, like, let's say around 10 kilometers. 10 point some like meters. So they used to like, if there is distances there, then they used to make in a half marathon like that. Otherwise, they used to divide in 10 kilometers circuit.
So is the terrain uniform or it's going to be a different
Like
structure altogether?
so it's like one like they will define the one area like a 10-kilometer circuit, or sometimes they used to if the area is not like the event organizers, they used to make in a 5-kilometer loop like
So
that
are they
they
going
used
to
to do.
run on public roads or? So I've
Yeah,
seen
it's on the public
everyone is
roads.
running on public roads only. Even I'm running on
Public
public roads.
roads, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Because I
it's the
want to
public roads.
emulate the same conditions which they are running in the actual marathon. So everyone is running on public roads only. I don't find
Yes,
anyone
yes,
running on like
correct.
say a Tour de France track circuit or something. No one is running in such.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is good information, and try to keep running. And in fact, I'll tell you, sports is a very good form of meditation, and even a good form of channelizing energy, and it helps us in our ideation process as well.
Yes, correct.
So it
That's
helps a lot.
absolutely right.
Yeah, so the sports is good, and you continue your sports, and it's pretty interesting that you are running for a long time. How many years you have been running for now?
It's been around more than 5 years, and I have run certain ultra marathon also. Like in
Ultra
Tamil
marathon.
Nadu, there is a
So
place called Javadu Hills. So in Javadu Hills Ultra also, I have run 100 kilometers
100
twice.
kilometers, okay. So ultra
Yeah,
marathon, what are the rules in the sense? Can we take rest or it's going to be a continuous one?
yeah, we can take rest like after every 2.5 or 5 minutes, there will be a booth along with the some of the electrolytes and other things stuffs they used to have, and like people said that they used to take rest for some time, then they keep on. So they used to maintain just the pace. Let's say
Okay.
like if we have to cover like 1 kilometer in 6 minutes or 7 minutes, so they just
Okay,
continue
they'll
with the
keep the
pace.
pace and do a pit stop and again continue. So is that is allowed or
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Okay.
that's all. Like they used to go through that,
Okay, that I've been
and
doing in a sense. I have a very good pace, but sustenance of the pace is the problem. See,
yeah,
I can break all records at a short distance. Let's say I've already broken the 60-meter and 50-meter dash record. But to
okay.
extend it to 100 meters and to 200 meters is going to be a challenge. So I have to maintain the same kind of space for larger distance. Even for marathon, my pace for half marathon is good. But when I try to do it for the complete marathon, it's slightly difficult because I've lost some stamina. So you cannot maintain the same kind of pace throughout.
Yes, correct.
So even in your 100-meter dash, we have, I guess, 4 phases. The start phase, the initial thrust, the start phase, the flying phase, and sustenance phase, and the finish phase. So not even the best runners in the world are able to sustain the kind of pace in all 4 phases. They're not able to do that.
Correct. That's
So
right.
once we are able to do that in all 4 phases, then we could we could break all records, and also the number of strides versus frequency. So some people are tall
Yes,
and they just
correct.
need, let's say Usain Bolt just needs 41 strides to cover 100 meters. So that means he covers almost 2.25 meters with one stride.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Some people are short. Like for example, I'm short, and there was a runner back in my school. His name was James Wu. He was very short, but he had a very powerful run. He had a very powerful run in the sense of the frequency of his stride was good. The frequency
Yes,
of his
correct.
strides were
Correct.
good, and I just follow some of his principles. I was not not exactly a very good runner or something in the past. Like I was running. I did got some awards in 1500s and 800s and stuff like that. In school and in even in office back in Bosch. Like I did some running, but not exactly professional or something. But recently I've got again good interest in running, and thanks to Anna and
That's good.
a few others who gave me motivation. So now I've started running, and the reason why I'm doing all these things is I want to prove the concept that Sheldon can play sports. So you might have seen my hashtag Sheldon can play sports.
Yes, yeah.
So I have been involved in sports for a long time, but I consider myself Sheldon only because I'm not very athletic and stuff. But I've been involved in sports for a long time because I'm more kind of a geek nerd kind of a thing. So who does not play much sport, but my case is different. I do play sports, but I'm doing this for people who want to take up sports and fear that it's too physical and stuff like that. So I want to bring the concept of introducing science into sports and technique into sports rather than the actual physical nature of the sport. With technique, we could cover a large distance even in physical sports. Let's say I'm able to play tennis, basketball, which are very tiring games, with some technique applied to it. So I'm not a person with a very strong framework or a strong body or very good stamina or something like that. It's just technique. Even while I run marathon, I apply technique, not stamina. So technique would be to reduce the resistance, reduce the number of strides, and try to increase your stride length, and try to float around with the proper shoes and comfort, and then you could cope up for lack of stamina and other factors. You need not be very strong or something, but you could make up for other factors. So here again, it's technique. And I've been moving around in the snow and heat with just this turtleneck sweater and jumper and my shorts. So I've been able to do that because of previous theory of heat exchanges. So I'm not strong. It's just the application of science and technique. So this technique-based approach can be applied to any sport, even running. And that's how I'm trying to promote the hashtag Sheldon can play sports.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm doing this is to bring in the sportive spirit, sportsmanship spirit all over, along with the scientific temper. So that's what I'm trying to bring to
That's very good actually.
create the vibe. So see, I'm not a Kenyan. I'm not a Jamaican. So I'm able
Yes.
to do some of their feats because of the positive vibes and the environment which I'm trying to create, and all the technical aspects which I brought into my framework, my system. So now I have squashed the gene superiority or inferiority theory, and I've established the concept of gene pool equality theory. So anyone and everyone can run. The Kenyan runners or the Jamaican runners or anyone and everyone can swim,
Yes.
like the
Correct.
best swimmers in the world. You will have to just do some activities and change your body mass index accordingly.
Yes.
Yeah, so that,
Recently, like Vijay, in New York City Marathon, I have seen a like new change. Like one guy was there from Brazil, and he was able to cross all the Kenyans and Ethiopians runner. In fact, the pace vehicle which was he used to cross, and he was, but after 35 kilometer he got some like cramps and all. He collapsed.
got
So
it. Yeah,
the Kenyan runner,
that is because he has not done endurance activities. Yeah, that's good.
yes,
He got excited and did that. Even if I do
yeah,
it first time, I'll be excited and I'll do it. But we should measure a stamina through some training with a lot of endurance activities. So that is the reason I started with marathon, doing a lot of endurance activities. Even for marathon, I did not just start running marathon. I started walking for 12 hours, 16 hours continuously. So once we
okay,
have that endurance, then marathon would be slightly simple. I'm not saying simple, slightly
yes,
simple. Then you do
correct.
endurance. Then you keep on running marathon for a long time. You develop the endurance for marathon. Then one fine day you run 200 meters. So that will be cakewalk for you. So that is how you do the hard stuff first,
Yeah,
and you train your body in such a way that you're trained for the hard stuff, and
correct.
the normal stuff would become easier.
Easier, yeah.
So now you do a lot of endurance activities, and then you play
Yeah.
basketball or you play tennis. You could play continuously, and basketball, though it's a game of skill, many people lose out due to lack of stamina. So they'll play a very good basketball for the first 30 minutes. Then and for the next 45 minutes or so, they will lose stamina, and it appears as if they have lost their skill, but they have not lost their skill. They've just lost their
Correct.
stamina. So when you're
Stamina.
tired, when you're lost your stamina, you cannot play well. So that applies to every game, every single game. So let's say you're a good batsman in cricket. You played very well for 100 runs. You scored a century. Then for the next 100 runs, you're not able to emulate the same skills. So you are the same person. You have the same skills, but you don't have the same. You're not able to emulate the same stuff after you scored a century because you are tired. You lost your stamina.
Correct.
It's not that you lost your skill; it's you lost your stamina. So that is what I'm trying to bring in all these concepts to maintain stamina and skill level, so that we could do with. We could perform well in many sports. I haven't tried very physical sports like the American football or rugby. I've tried American football without the guard, in the sense they just play casually, right? They just play casually without any guard and helmet, and they just throw pass the ball. I was a wide receiver and I was playing casually, but that's without any guard, and everyone was playing in a friendly manner. But the actual physical nature, when they play with all the guard and helmet, I've not played that. So I don't know how to apply technology there. So that'll be a challenge. But apart from that, all other sports, let's say baseball, every other sport is going to use technique like Bernoulli's theorem and other aspects of trajectory and pressure and speed, velocity. So it's going to be science in sports. So every sport, even tennis. So tennis, even I don't have a very strong framework. I don't have a very strong body, but I can play for hours together in a clay court, so which is very fast. So I can play hours together. I've been practicing. I've been practicing only serves for a long time. I've been practicing only serves, and now I'm very good at serves. And the speed and spin is also good. And slowly I've played doubles and then singles for a long time, and now I'm quite good. So that is how you develop. So the reason why I'm telling all these things is we can develop expertise in any field by deliberate practice. So that is again a concept of James Clear and Atomic Habits. It's called the 10,000 hour concept. We can achieve expertise in any field, even less than 10,000 hours, even less than a few years or months, through deliberate practice. A deliberate practice in terms of a feedback control based approach, in the sense, let's say I throw a basketball from a long distance and it misses the ring, and the next throw should be error corrected. So there was an error in the previous throw. The feedback has been we have got the feedback, and we are going to correct that error and reduce the difference between the actual position and the position where we have thrown the ball, and that will be error correction mechanism. And cost function, we are reducing the cost function, and that's plain artificial intelligence and machine, and that's plain machine learning and curve fitting and finding the global minima, so gradient descent. So it's plain science. So that is how we develop expertise in any game, sport, or any field through deliberate practice. Okay, I'm sorry, like if I speak further, then you that'll be monotonous for you. So let's in the call now, and anyway, it's recorded. I hope it will be beneficial for others as well. So thanks, Roshan, for joining at such short notice, and it's quite late in India as well. So have a wonderful weekend, and let's connect sometime later. Bye.
Sure. Thanks, Vijay. Bye bye. Have a great weekend.